Shalom, Yasharallah. It's your brother Dawud from GMSTAMPABAY07, coming at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rakal Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that brought me this truth, that taught me this truth, and that ruled well. And salutation and much love for Yakim pushing this truth with sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions. All right. We're going to just jump right on into it, Had a pretty busy, rough week this week, and some of these articles and things like that, these prophecies coming to pass in the news, starting to pile up on me. So I got quite a couple of different videos to post up. So nevertheless, we're going to just jump right into it, all right? This here article is dealing with Venezuela as an update on Venezuela, all right? Because out in Venezuela, they have, the children of Israel is out in Venezuela, all right? And as we understand the times that we living in, we're supposed to be watching these prophecies and things like that, all right? And as we see with the rest of our brethren, like the northern kingdom, just like in the scriptures, they went into captivity first, all right? Then the southern kingdom went into captivity after that, all right? So as you're starting to see these things go on in the world, all right, you already see judgment day is already at hand, all right? The majority of the world is already catching their judgment, But as we start to see now, it's starting to come upon Jake, in a major way as a whole, as a nation, all right? And so, in places like Puerto Rico, well, hell, you even see it in Haiti as well, but Puerto Rico and Venezuela, and actually there's problems stirring up in Brazil as well, and there's also certain things happening in Mexico as well, But nevertheless, dealing with Venezuela, because this is like one of the the headlines in the news, all right? It says Venezuela heading for 1 million % hyperinflation, the IMF. All right. And, if you've been following along with, some of these news updates I've been doing with concerning Venezuela, you'll understand that basically America is basically choking them out like our brothers over in Cuba, the tribe of Manasseh. All right. If you ever go to Cuba and wonder why they look like they got stuck back in time, all their cars are pretty old. Everything there is really old. All right. It's because America basically has sanctions on them to where, it's hard for them to trade and import and export with other countries, leaving them just basically to deal on their own resources. All right. But nevertheless, we see these same things going on over here in Venezuela. All right. And the damn devil is that much of a devil that he's going around trying to steal everybody's resources. And he don't really care if you're trying to stand up for what you got or whatever. He's going to push forward all the way through, And the plot of this damn devil, man, he got war on every end and he's still pushing for more war, He got the wars that he just started in the Middle East. He got skirmishes off in Africa. All right. Then he also has, the shit that he stirred up in Syria. All right. Then he's stirring up more shit over in North Korea. All right. Constantly stirring up shit in Russia. All right. Now he's trying to push shit off in Iran. All right. Now you see the trade wars with China. All right. Which is affecting his allies. All right. And then, like I said, he's been doing this already for a while over here in Venezuela. All right. Stealing all these different resources. But you see, so-called white man, this the proud of him, man. He, instead of just waging war with one person one-on-one with them, he's out here trying to fight the whole damn planet Earth all at once. All right. And he's going to wonder why damn near like the scriptures say, all ye archers that bend the bow, stand round about it and shoot at her, spare no arrows. All right. And double unto her, her reward basically, or rendering her basically, basically pay her back, give all the things she did to you, do it back onto her, And so as you see all these different things going on, and like I said, the plot of this damn devil, fighting on multiple fronts, this is just the mind of a madman right here. All right. This is somebody with straight pride that he can think that he can sit here and bully the whole entire world. All right. Him just by himself, basically bully the whole entire world. Well, he has allies, but he's bullying his allies, How you gonna bully the whole world and then bully your allies and expect nobody not to stand up against your ass, But nevertheless, looking at, how the things are starting to fall over in Venezuela. All right. We dealing with the same Edomite. All right. That's got us in captivity. All right. It's the same thing, same story. All right. So you can look at these things here and get a preview of what's to come over here in the land of Babylon. All right. So it says, Venezuela heading for 1 million % hyperinflation, IMF. Like, that's some real pride right there. 1 million % in hyperinflation. Like, really, bro? Like, you just basically stole their whole currency. You didn't took all their money from them. But instead, like, this is a little different because these motherfuckers still got the money, as you can see here in this picture. They got plenty money as far as dollar bills, but it don't buy them nothing, all right? And they'll tell you down here how much you can convert this for. It says plastic bags filled with Venezuelan Bolivar notes are seen on a currency traders table. Carlos Garcia Rawlins, Reuters. All right, and that's the money up there that you see, a bag of money. All right. It says Venezuela is facing one of the worst hyperinflation crises in modern history, according to the International Monetary Fund. It expects the country economy to contract by 18% this year amid falling oil production, the third consecutive year of double-digit declines, and 3 points worse than projected in May. All right. Now, I'm not quite sure if they're going to go in this article or not, but Venezuela is one of their main exports, and their biggest thing that they bring in, the biggest thing that brings in money for their economy is the production of their oil, or the sales of their oil. All right, because they pretty much sit on, like, I want to say like the world's largest oil reserves, you know. So it says, but at the same time, what's going on over there is what happened over in Iran back in the day. All right. Basically, America wants those resources, or the so-called white man, these Edomites, want their resources, just like everybody else's resources on the planet Earth. All right. So like they did over in Iran, I believe back in the 50s, you know, they wanted to go in there and overthrow the legitimate government of those people. All right. You know, you want to overthrow the leader of those people who come up out of those people. You want to overthrow him and set up your own little puppet over there so you can manipulate the system so you can get the rights to all their resources. All right. And enslave all the people. All right. So nevertheless, continuing on, it says we're projecting a surge in inflation to 1,000,000% by the end of 2018. To signal that the situation in Venezuela is similar to that in Germany in 1923 or Zimbabwe in late 2000, said Alejandro Wiener, head of IMF's Western Hemisphere Department. All right. And really, this is one of the ways that Esau rules, through, first and foremost, through his deceit, you know, his lies and shit like that, you know. Because it is with his laws that he formulate, how do I say, like contracts and bills and little shit like that, so he can so-called give power to certain things, credence to certain things, i.e. his fiat currency. Homeboy just took some, well, not regular paper, but like cotton paper, and printed an image on there, you know, and calling that some kind of value, you know. It's like, you know, and for you to really understand that, because this is something that we really can't fathom in our mind, that this is a bullshit ass system, you know, one way to break it down to you in the simplest way is, what's the difference between a $1 bill and a $100 bill? All right. The only difference between a $1 bill and a $100 bill is basically the template of the image that was printed on there. All right. So, you know, there's no difference, you know, like they use the same paper. So the paper has the same amount of value, you know, you just changing the template of what you're printing on there. So really the real value is whatever, like a fiat currency, you know, let it be whatever you believe it, you know, to be. If you believe that this bill has more value than that bill because, you know, this has a different design on it than that one, then let it be. You know, we're gonna, how do I say, we're gonna pretty much agree that this here bill that, you know, that's printed like this has way more value than that bill, you know, and we're gonna agree that, you know, this is the value of it, you know. But nevertheless, it's not a real standard of money, you know. It says he also pointed to economic, they're gonna go into it right here. It says he also pointed to economic distortions, including printing money to finance the government. All right, so, you know, another reason that they're pointing out that this hyperinflation is rising so fast over there in Venezuela is because they're basically just printing money to basically get themselves up out of debt. All right. And any person with real common sense know that you can't do no shit like that. You have to actually have real resources. All right. You can't be like the society and the life that we live. You know, like I said, we conditioned to think a certain way. So it's kind of hard for you to understand this. All right. But, you know, anybody who's ever had credit cards, you know, and let's say you have a credit card and you want to go out and spend like crazy money, just be irresponsible, right? The bills come around and you don't have no actual cash to pay the bills. So what do? You go get another credit card, all right? So all you doing is basically paying off one credit card with another credit card, but you're not even paying it off. You're just moving the funds from one to another card. But in actuality, like how they're doing is you just basically extended your line of credit. You gave yourself more buying power. But at what? At the risk of like, so with a credit card, you have to pay that back, right? And let's say you have a credit card for $5 right? And you charge the $5 on there, well, you're gonna have to pay more than the $5 for the credit card. You know, it's gonna be, you know, let's say, you know, you charge $5 on there, they're gonna hit you with the interest rate, and let's say your interest rate, they charge you an extra $2. So now for every $5 you spend, you gotta, you know, pay out an extra $2. Well, if you didn't have the $5 to begin with, all right, and you borrowed this $5, where are you gonna get that $5 back to repay them from? Okay, this is the system that we live in. The only way you can get that money back is for you to borrow more money, and this is why, how do you say, they keep printing more money. How do you say you have more money in circulation? All right. So, which in reality is devaluing your money. All right. But nevertheless, you have to understand these systems and the monetary system. All right. Contrary to popular belief, you know, these people that set this whole thing up, this so-called $21 trillion in debt, is an extremely good thing for America. All right. The more debt, the better. All right. If they was to pay off all their debts, then the bankers, who are the top elites, they don't make no more money. They're making their money off of the interest that they're getting it from. All right. So, you know, printing out this here money is basically just a scheme. You know, you charging up one credit card and you go get another credit card to pay that off, and then go get another credit card to pay that off. It's all fine and dandy until they tell you, yo, you didn't reach your credit max. You can't get no more credit cards. You have to pay this off. We about to start garnishing your wages now. All right, that's where it hurts at. And so that's basically where the Venezuelans are at right now. But it's not because they were being irresponsible with their shit. It's just because they had, you know, some good shit over there and America want to go and steal it. You know, these Edomites. All right. Like the scriptures say, his desire, his desires is death. You know what I'm saying? And like death and hell, you know, like, he's neither satisfied, you know, he's like death and hell, you know. That's like the scriptures also say, you know, there's two things on the earth. I believe it, roughly paraphrased, like two things on the earth. I'm not sure if it was two, or I think it was two, but I'll just say for one, you know, one thing on the earth that's never satisfied is the grave, you know, because as long as there's human beings on the planet earth, there's somebody going to be dying. You see what I'm saying? That's just how it is. So the grave is never satisfied. And same with these Edomites, these so-called white people, they never satisfied with the shit that they got, you know. It says, we expect the government to continue to run wide fiscal deficits financed entirely by an expansion in base money, which will continue to fuel an acceleration of inflation as money demands continue to collapse. As, I'm not sure if that's Warner or Wiener. Yeah, Warner. I'm not sure if this is the guy, Anthony Weiner. Nah. But nevertheless, like I was just explaining, you know, you just printing more money. It ain't doing nothing but buying you a little bit more time before all your cars come crumbling down, you know? Like, you know, like I said, you know, you keep, you know, charging and taking from one credit card to another credit card. Eventually they're going to tell you, you know, your credit is maxed out and we're going to have to start garnishing your wages. All right. And this is the place where they at right now in Venezuela. All right. It says 1 million Venezuelan Bolivar is today worth over just $8 American. All right. So for less than $10 American, you can go into the exchange rate and get basically 1 million Venezuelan Bolivar. All right. Which that just go to show you how devalued their shit was. You know, not saying that I know exactly what was like, how do I say, a normal trending currency for Venezuela comparable to the American dollar. But nevertheless, like, yo, 1 million Venezuelan Bolivar versus $8. Just think about that. You want to go buy something that's worth $8 or $16, you need $2 million, basically 2 million of these Venezuelan Bolivar. All right. So just imagine just imagine that shit, man. You have to carry around $2 million to get, you know, something to feed your family for the night. You see what I'm saying? And going back up to this here image at the top, this is why you see people walking around with stacks of money like this. All right. And to bring it into contrast, you know, roughly paraphrasing, that's, what does it say? It says, victuals shall be so good cheap on the earth that they shall think themselves to be in a good case. All right. And so as a compare and contrast to what you got going on right here, you see this here bag of money, right? Now, this is what they using basically to get, you know, some food for their family for just a day's worth of food. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, if you seen a picture like this here in America, all right, it would be a different story, a different scenario. You know, this would be like a so-called Jake here in America stunting on somebody. You know, they'll have the money bag, like, oh, I got the bag, you know what I'm saying, so on and so forth. And they stunting, you know, they showing everything all good and how everything is, you know, like, oh, we're gonna just go blow this in the strip club, you know. Going back to that scripture I just quoted, you know, victory shall be so good cheap. And another thing, I just did a video earlier this week, I believe it was earlier this week, about you know, with the trade war going on and the meats not being you know, these other countries not really buying this meat, you know, so all this meat coming back over to America, which is going to drive the price of meat here in America down for the regular consumers. All right, so not even if you're walking around with bags of money like this stunting, you're gonna have these, you know, not even your everyday Americans, your low-level Americans, all right, for the first time feeling a little good about something, like, yo, we're gonna go get this $100 steak because it's like the price of some steakums. You see what I'm saying? So they're gonna be able to get all this and that, and in their mindsets, they can be like, shit, we good, we balling, you know. That's how Jake feel. They get one big paycheck, or prime example, income tax check. All right, that's one big paycheck throughout the whole year. You know what I'm saying? But they go ball out as if they get that check every week. You know, 3 months down the line, what they doing? Back at the Amscot, back borrowing money. All right. So again, like the scriptures say, victory shall be so good cheap, they should think themselves in a good case. That's here in America right now. You thinking everything is good. You walking around like this picture with bags of money like this. You know what I'm saying? Stunting, got these stacks of money up to your ear. Taking pictures on the Facebook, trying to show off. But what's gonna happen when it comes to, you know, like how it is in Venezuela, when you have to take that same money you was posing with just to go get you not even a square meal, you know, maybe just a bag of fucking rice. All right, and you ain't even got no water at the house to turn on to boil the fucking rice with, you know. You just spent $2 million on just that. All right, 16 worth what? 16 American dollars, you know. Just imagine that. You know, what would cost you, let's say here in America, $8, right? Let me think of some. All right, well, let's just say $5. Those $5 hot and ready pizzas, right? You know, you used to go spend you $5, which, you know, to so-called Americans ain't all that much money, you know? It's like, oh, whatever, it's just $5, whatever, whatnot, you know? But nevertheless, what happens when you go to buy that same $5 pizza and it's gonna cost you, like, you know, $5 million, all right? You see what I'm saying? It's the same deal that's going on over here, you know? You're going to be carrying these big stacks of money that you was posing with just to go down to your, you know, your little food bank or whatever, just to get a little bit of food, you know? It says, let me read this top part. He also pointed to economic distortion, including printing money to finance the government. We expect the government to continue to run wide fiscal deficits financed entirely by an expansion in base money, which will continue to fuel the acceleration of inflation as money demands continue to collapse. All right. So your regular everyday ass people, the regular citizens, they need this so-called hard currency, or how they call it, base cash currency, you know, just to buy their regular shit, you know. But it ain't that much currency in Venezuela going on. So what is the government doing? Printing out more and more money. But what is that doing? Just further devaluing the money. All right. Making their money worth less and less money, you know. It says 1 million Venezuelan bolivar is today worth over just $8. According to Wiener, the fact that tens of thousands of Venezuelans have fled the country to escape the crisis have an impact on neighboring economies. So, you know, like I was saying, you know, all these other countries that surround them, you know, what is that, Brazil, you know, and places like that, they're also feeling these effects because you have a mass, mass exodus or mass migration into your country. You know what I'm saying? And all these people, hey man, you have to pay for them some kind of way, you know? And it's not really like, you know, like here in Florida, you know, most people thinking you get a high influx of so-called people coming in. That would be good for the so-called citizens here, because we would look at it as, okay, those are tourists coming in, and then the tourists come here and they spend money. You know, let's say if you work at a restaurant, you know, okay, now these tourists going to come in and spend more money. That means you got more people leaving more tips, meaning I'm going to make more money. All right. So, but just imagine all those same people coming in, but none of them have money. They still got to eat, got to get fed, and so on and so forth, putting a strain on the government and just economics, you know, storing and housing these people. All right. It says President Nicolas Maduro says the country is a victim of economic war waged by the United States. And see, like I said, the so-called white man and his pride, you know, he's at war all over the whole damn planet Earth right now. All right. And his wars look a little different. You know, he's actually over there bombarding in the Middle East with actual bombs. All right. Then he's over here in Venezuela hitting them with the currency. All right. Starving the people out with the famines and stuff like that. All right. Over in Iran, which I'm Lord willing, I'll be able to get to that lesson how the so-called white man is trying to overthrow the Iranians, by psychological warfare, basically, or propaganda, on the TV and the news, and, and not to really get too much off topic on that topic, the hypocrisy of all of that, you talk about Russia meddling in with the U.S. elections or meddling with the affairs of the U.S., but how much more are you when you openly talking about regime change out there, But like I said, the part of this damn devil, war on all sides of the earth, Another scripture to reference, woe unto the inhabitants of the earth, for the devil has come down to you having great wrath, because he has but a short time. Why you think instead of trying to finish one war somewhere, and dedicating all his time and his resources to that one location, homeboy has decided, look, we're going to start a war over here. We're going to start a war over there. Before them troops even get over there, we're going to go ahead and start another war over here. So on and so forth, all right? It says, in February, he launched the so-called petro-digital currency backed by the concrete assets of Venezuela oil and other natural resources. Okay, so touching on a couple of different things here, all right? America don't really like when everybody else start making their own currencies and backing it by something other than basically the American standard, in some kind of way, whether it be like, using the petrodollar. Like, so for instance, Saddam Hussein, Muammar Gaddafi. All right. Well, Saddam Hussein decided he wanted to sell his oil in, I believe it was the British pound. All right. Then all of a sudden, they didn't like that. All right. So that's why they went over there and killed Saddam Hussein. And Muammar Gaddafi inside of Africa, I believe, he wound up discovering a natural water spring, all right, which is way more better than having the goddamn gold and the oil over there, all right? You got to understand, these people in the middle of the desert. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, what good is having all the gold and the oil if you ain't got no people, because they can't survive without no hydration, can't bring in no vegetation, and people can't live, all right? So they found a natural spring water over there where they can basically drive water throughout the whole Middle East and charge everybody else for the water, thus enslaving the rest of the country, all right? As you see what they're doing over here to Venezuela with their oil, right? America's trying to take their oil from them so that America has their hand in the oil and the Venezuelan people don't get nothing out of it, all right? But it says, in February, he launched the so-called petro-digital currency backed by the concrete assets of Venezuela oil and other natural resources. It launched explicitly to circumvent U.S. sanctions against state oil company PDVSA. All right, so like I was saying, again, these people want to, get from entangled out of Esau's web, out of his systems, all right? But whenever you do that, hey, he come down on you having great wrath, because he know that's one of the ways, he has multiple different ways of how he's enslaving every damn body, but you know what I'm saying? It's like mind warfare, your resource warfare. He actually has shit where he go and bombard your ass and hit you with them bombs and shit like that, But he has a lot of different types of war tactics he can hit you with, all right? It says Maduro has also announced another virtual token, the Petro Oro, which will be backed by the country's precious metals, all right? And then I wouldn't think it would be too long before America's sending troops over there for whatever reason, Maybe America's at the end of it all, which America already had been trying to say this a little bit, but they'll probably say something like Nicolas Maduro is over here killing his people. We got to go over there and liberate the Venezuelan people. He's starving them out. And then you'll see what happened in Syria over in Venezuela. All right. But nevertheless, I wanted to bring this here article out just to, touch bases on the updates of the things that's going on around the world, and also bring a preview to the things that's coming here in America. All right. Like the scripture I quoted about victory shall be so good cheap upon the earth, they shall think themselves to be in a good case. And that's the scenario you have here in America. All right. You see pictures like this with these so-called Americans here in America, like Jake and everything like that right now, more and more Jake is getting their hands on, a lot younger Jake's getting their hands on a lot more money and doing more and more things, but nevertheless, they and that's what's hindering a lot of them from the truth, because they got everything so good for them right now. All right. But when shit hit the fan, and then they taking that same little stack of money that they was posing with on the internet just to go buy some rice, hey, it's going to be a different story in that day. But at that point in time, hey, it's already time for your judgment. All right. You should have already repented. All right. And turn from your wicked ways. All right. So, like I said, I wanted to bring this here out as a update on the whole Venezuela thing, because I've been, covering this and following this for a while as they've been going pretty much down the damn drain. But this is also a preview to what's coming over here in America. All right. And also it's a preview to show you the characteristics of the so-called white man. All right. You can't put it past his ass with the type of shit he's going to be doing, or the type of shit that he's willing to do. All right. He's doing this right here in 2018, and ain't nobody saying nothing about it. So how much more is he willing to do to you so-called Americans here? All right. And like I said, with the trade war going on, America's already devaluing their own currency, all right? With that, Lord, I want to say a lesson was edifying. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakah Kadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders, the great millstone that taught me this truth and that ruled well. And salutation and much love for you. I can push this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth. Stay strong. Shalom.